Hi there, my name is Ellie Thomas, and today I will be talking about the training of juvenile elephants for wildlife tourist attractions, also known as WTAs, throughout Asia. So, today I will be discussing the types of tourism under WTAs, the tourist gaze and demand for WTAs, venues that require trained elephants in Asia, the Asian elephant species information, behavioural needs, training of juvenile elephants for WTAs, which includes separation from mothers, dominance training, and command training, associated welfare issues, a current solution, what is being done in industry, and some further recommendations and solutions. So, firstly, I'm going to outline the different types of tourism that come under the branch of elephant wildlife tourist attractions in Asia. Fennell and Coos 2023 define WTAs as non zoo, non hunting attractions that offer opportunities for tourists to interact with specific taxa of non domestic animals, either in captive or wild settings, many of which claim benefits for wildlife which they do not deliver. WTAs vary significantly in welfare standards and conditions. They range from captive conditions to fully natural settings, with some venues bridging categories. Fully contrived means that a setting may offer animal performances where the animals are highly trained and the environment is unnatural. One of these examples are show venues and also riding venues, which have gained less popularity throughout Asia, although many still operate. In riding venues, tourists can pay to go on an elephant ride in which they sit bareback or on a wooden or steel seat. Another fully contrived setting is washing and bathing or feeding venues. Many of these venues operate throughout Asia. These attractions tend to market themselves as sanctuaries that are ethical and natural. However, tourists can pay to physically interact with elephants by washing them or hand feeding them. A semi natural setting is where an animal remains unstrained and untrained and allowed to carry out natural behaviours in a natural environment, such as sanctuaries. The public is not allowed to interact with animals in a sanctuary, and in some venues there may be a few animals that are able to be viewed by the public, whilst other animals are kept out of view. The end aim of a sanctuary is for the animals to be reintroduced to the wild. However, some animals are kept indefinitely due to limitations to re-releasing them into the wild, including risk of poaching and inability to survive. In 1990, John Urey coined the term tourist gaze, which refers to the distorted lens that is created for tourists to view an environment. The experience of the tourist is romanticised and is devoid of the reality behind the tourism attraction. In this case, tourists enjoy a hands on experience with the elephants whilst unaware of the welfare and ethical issues surrounding this form of animal use. The successful attraction of elephant tourism has resulted in a number of captive elephants being used in tourism, increasing by 70% in the last 10 years. Visits to wildlife tourist attractions make up 20 to 40% of global tourism, and furthermore, in 2019 alone, 10.9 million tourists rode or planned to ride elephants while on holiday in Thailand. Thailand is still the main location of elephant use in tourism, with exploitation being driven by tourist numbers and the demand, which drives profit. There remains a lot of confusion around WTAs due to the use of incorrect language such as retirement home, sanctuaries, ethical, and rescue by unethical establishments. Here is an example of the scale and types of venues that would require trained elephants. This area is highly under researched, and so I'll be using the case study of animal charity World Animal Protection, which studied 3,837 elephants across 357 venues throughout Asia between January 2019 and January 2020. These statistics should add some clarity to the types and scale of venues that may require elephants to be trained throughout Asia. 63% of venues made up severely inadequate conditions. This includes 2,449 elephants across 205 venues used for riding excursions and 1,214 elephants across 46 venues offering circus-style shows. Improved yet still inadequate conditions made up 30%. 608 elephants across 98 venues were used for washing and bathing experiences, and 228 elephants across 14 venues were used for feeding experiences. These venues are an example of the types of venues that look for trained elephants, as they have contact with the public. 7% of venues made up the high welfare section in the case study, and these were observational only venues. And these are an example of the types of venues that in theory should not need to train juvenile elephants, as they are sanctuaries and they do not need the training due to not having explicit contact with the public. The Asian elephant, scientific name Elephas maximus, is split into 4 subspecies linked to its native habitat. Habitats range from wet or dry deciduous forest, tropical evergreen forests, scrublands, and grasslands consisting of rivers, lakes, and a variety of shrub and bushes. Life expectancy in the wild ranges from 60 to 70 years old, although the elephant's critically endangered status means that more and more elephants are being moved into captivity due to the risk of illegal poaching and habitat destruction. Brain cognition in elephants is comprehensive due to their large neocortex with extensive spatial, temporal, and long-term memory, social memory, and self-awareness. Furthermore, some literature suggests that a basic fear of mind in elephants, meaning that they can understand conspecific's point of view or how they may be feeling. Elephants are herbivores, and their wild diet consists of high fibre, low in nutrients food made up of grass and browse dependent on availability. They consume up to 7.13 kilograms of wet vegetation per hour, and they forage and feed for an average of 18 hours in every 24-hour period, making up 75% of their day. These sessions are normally split into 2 periods, with the rest of their time entailing drinking, resting, bathing, and generally moving around. In the wild, social groups are made up of female adults called cows and both male and female calves. Female calves remain with the matriarchy for life, where allow mothering is important to survival and development of infants. However, male calves remain with the matriarchy for their first 10 to 15 years, and once reaching sexual maturity, they leave to live in solitude or join a bachelor herd of males. After this, the males will only regroup with the matriarchy to mate. Behavioural needs are behaviours that an animal shows a strong predisposition to perform. If the opportunity to perform these behaviours is thwarted in captivity, then this can lead to the animal performing abnormal behaviours such as stereotypies. An elephant's main behavioural needs are the opportunity for natural foraging and feeding, natural drinking, parenting and allow mothering, bathing and swimming, socialising with other members of the species, play, and exploration and learning. In order to deliver wildlife tourist experiences to the public, it is crucial for elephants to be highly trained and obedient to the mahouts, who are their carers. Elephants are one of the most dangerous animals used in tourism, with a high rate of injury amongst mahouts, with male juvenile elephants causing the most injuries. Aggression in elephants poses a high risk to tourists due to their close proximity to elephants in interactive venues. Anecdotal sources suggest that for every male elephant in captivity, 1 fatality will occur, with local bystanders, international tourists, and mahouts being the main victims. So it is not only important for elephants' welfare, but also the mahouts' welfare and the greater public. And in order to control these animals to be obedient around tourists, they have to undergo a very strict training process. Many venues state that they no longer use these methods. However, research in 2019 found that these training processes were still present throughout Thailand. The research outlines 3 stages of training for juvenile elephants in Thailand. These stages are number 1, separation from mothers, stage 2, dominance training, and stage 3, command training. Juvenile elephants are usually separated from their mothers at an average age of 2.1 years. Separating mothers from calves is highly traumatic and stressful for both mother and calf. The World Animal Protection discloses that trainers stated in some cases they had to chain the mothers for up to 2 months before they would stop screaming and searching for their babies. To separate mother and calf, the mother is chained and the calf is led away by an elephant who is specifically trained to lead away the calf from the mother. Mothers would show extreme stress at this stage, and for some this was not the first time they would have had a calf taken away. The calf is then moved to its new environment and chained to allow minimum movement for 2 days to 2 weeks, only being fed and watered by the training. Calves show extreme stress at this time. Dominance training would last from 2 to 5 days and aims to attain dominance over the calf. Negative reinforcement is used within dominance training, and it entails the calf becoming submissive to the trainer and understanding that failure to submit results in punishment in the form of bull hooks inflicted by the trainer. The top photo is an example of a bull hook used for negative reinforcement training. Physical restraint methods are used in the training, such as restraining calves to a wooden frame or post with their front and back legs shackled. Calves that are more difficult to handle are restrained between 2 wooden frames called the training crush, which stops the elephant from moving, making them easier to control. Calves are then prodded and hit with the bull hook, which may cause lacerations across the head. This method would be repeated until the calves stop showing aggression behaviour and instead show submissive behaviour, in which they are then given a food treat or clap. Sessions would normally take between 1 to 2 hours, and calves are subjected to an average of 2 sessions per day. There has been anecdotal evidence of positive reinforcement training or mild aversive training methods. However, these methods have not received much attention due to the importance of having highly obedient and dominant elephants due to the risk to public safety if not. After initial training, the trainer then enforces further commands and trains the calf to accept the trainer on its back. This includes one trainer sitting on the calf's back and more trainees surrounding the elephant applying negative reinforcement if the calf does not comply. Calves are then introduced to road traffic whilst its legs are still shackled and it is surrounded by trainers, stopping it from escaping. Further training, such as how to do show tricks such as picking up items or standing on hind legs, is repeated using negative reinforcement. Trainers are the calf's only source of food, water, and contact, which creates a high dependency. Some elephants need retraining in later years due to becoming aggressive or problematic in venues. There are some potential welfare benefits to WTAs, and this can include if training venues allow, the calf may have access to professional veterinary care. The calf would have protection from poaching and would have access to food and housing provision that eradicates the risk of starvation and competition in the wild. Some venues may also allow for fundraising opportunities in the wildlife tourist attraction. This table is adapted from Schmidt-Burbeck and Hartley-Backhouse under the World Animal Protection Report, who use the welfare quality criteria to score elephant welfare. The table entails an illustrative assessment of potential welfare issues associated with the training of juvenile elephants using the aforementioned training methods. As you can see from the table, no access to mother or associate group limits the elephant's opportunity to build social bonds alongside unnatural food provision, fails to meet scoring criteria, behavioural freedom and naturalness. Furthermore, ties and shackles do not allow the elephant to move or properly rest, failing to meet scoring criteria, behavioural freedom and naturalness. The risk of disease if the elephant does not have access to professional veterinary care, fails to meet the criteria. Hygiene. The use of negative reinforcement methods inflicts noise, disturbance and fear, failing to meet the scoring criteria, environmental noise. Furthermore, the use of ties and shackles also fails to meet scoring criteria, rest area. And in the second half of the table, we can see that no access to mother or social group also fails to meet scoring criteria, social interaction. Unnatural food provision also fails to meet criteria, diet, and the risk of disease and unlimited access to professional veterinary care and the use of negative reinforcement methods also fail to meet scoring criteria, animal management. So as we can see, there are several potential welfare issues associated with the mentioned training methods. So if we look at an alternative solution, we can see non-training facilities. So an example of these may be sanctuaries. So these are observational only venues. They have chain-free access to enclosures or natural habitats in the day and sometimes at night. Animals are allowed social interactions with other elephants to create social bonds, opportunities to browse and forage in natural habitat, which is crucial natural behaviour for the elephants. And tourists have limited or no interaction with elephants in these venues, and activities range from observing the elephants from afar or preparing food treats for them. And the most important point is that these types of venues have no need to train juveniles. As mentioned before, they tend to have rescue animals, and the limited contact or no contact with the public leaves no reason for them to be trained for these conditions. So what is being done? Since 2010, 250 travel companies have joined the pledge to not sell or promote wildlife attractions that offer elephant rides or shows. Nepal has initiated multiple projects to provide observational-only attractions for tourists, and the Elephant Transit Home in Sri Lanka employ a strict policy against elephant entertainment and has an ultimate aim to reintroduce the elephants into their natural habitat. Moreover, in December 2019, the UK's largest travel association, the Association of British Tourism Agency, also known as ABTA, updated its guidelines to advise members not to send customers to camps that allow direct contact between tourists and elephants, and states there should always be a barrier between elephants and people. So some recommendations and solutions. Venues should transition to observational only whilst gradually reducing the number of elephants in captivity. The government should prevent captive breeding for tourism, and the tourism industry should educate the public on how to choose ethical venues. Elephants should be only kept in captivity with the intent to rehabilitate and re-release into the wild. And furthermore, it is important to note that these solutions should be approached with caution and respect. This industry is a high driver of income throughout Asia and is based on tradition and culture of elephants as working animals alongside a dependency for income and profit. And furthermore, tourists can research before looking into excursions online, and they can use guidance from NGOs such as World Animal Protection to look for high welfare venues. And if unsure, they can opt for alternative experiences. Thank you for watching and listening to this presentation. And here are the first page of references. Feel free to pause if you would like to take a closer look. Here are the second page. And here are the references for the photos in the presentation. Thank you.